What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Fired Up. And today's show is going to be extremely special. We have a special guest here. I am your hostess, Rashid, and Barrett, the normal hostess there. And we have a special guest, Kenneth Murray. And we're going to be getting into Kyrie Irving, drama and what's going on with him. And there's the word sellout being thrown around, and we're going to get some expertise opinion here, man. So, Kenneth, introduce yourself and let the audience know what you're all about, brother.
My name is Kenneth Murray, and what I'm about is revolution.
All right. Revolution towards what type of change? No, that's the thing.
The first revolution begins in the mind. We need a paradigm shift in our community. Once the paradigm shift occurs, then we'll be able to deal with the system of white supremacy and everything around it.
Okay. All right. That works. So, Barrett, take us off, man. Take us off, brother.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is we have professional ball players, as we know, basically using their platform to talk about racial injustice. Am I right about this? This is the word they're using. We do not want to play basketball because we have problems on the outside. Problems that don't involve basketball players. Problems that go beyond the ball players. Now, as individuals, when they step out and with their families, we understand the position they put themselves in. As ball players, you're not allowed, in my personal opinion, to use that as that particular platform to talk about what's going on with police brutality and what's been happening with the quote-unquote black community. I disagree with that because the bottom line is, at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving, he's received all his money. He's got his money up front, even though it's not the most important thing, but he's trying to get other players who are relying on their paychecks to come out there and join them. Those guys don't feel the same way because they have to go out there and take care of their families. All right? At the end of the day, I think Kyrie needs to take a little bit more of an approach about that. And he doesn't have much to say, good or bad. He doesn't have much to say at all.
He does have the support of the other players here now.
No, you're incorrect about that. Who's going behind him? What players stand behind the White Howard and what's his other guy's name? He doesn't have that much support. These guys are not following behind him. They're really not. And you know what happened? The NBA is getting so scared that they're coming out and saying, well, any ball player that does not wish to play in the remaining part of the season, please let us know before we start. And I haven't heard one ball player step up yet.
Nobody wants to lose their money. That's why.
That's right. The money issue. We just talked about that. The money issue. So, Rashid, now you are basically on a point where you kind of agree with Kyrie Irving's position.
No, I do not. No, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay. You don't at all. Not one bit.
Kevin Durant does, and I think Kendrick Perkins doesn't agree with him. And he's
Dwight Howard agrees with him.
Yeah, Dwight Howard does. But again, he's made over $100 million in his career, though. And but like you just highlighted, though, a lot of players haven't, though.
No. I mean, the bottom line is you need support, right? I mean, Colin Kaepernick got support, all right? He did, for the most part. He got support, which is why he's where he is now because of what he started and what he's continuing on. I have respect for that brother. But Kyrie Irving, I'm not saying he's trying to emulate that, but he basically says, I'm tired of seeing what I'm seeing, so now I want to step out and I'm not going to play basketball. You know what? Listen, I think that is so far off base because you have to understand something. You are a ball player, Kyrie. You are a basketball player. That is your occupation. That is your job title. You're not a politician. You're not an activist. You are paid to play basketball. I'm not saying you're not capable of taking on different type of situations and looking at what's going on around the world. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is right now, the NBA, along with other sports organizations, have been trying hard to work within this COVID-19 safety concept in order to get basketball or football, baseball, soccer, any of these sports to get back on the platform and start playing again. Because these companies are about their bottom dollar. They want to make some money. They already lost a lot of money already. So they're trying to at least come out at least a little bit, 65% above what they were. That to salvage the season financially. So listen, again, I made the comment that Kyrie got guaranteed money for this season. He's not even worrying about his money. But there are other players that rely on this.
But
he's not thinking about it.
He said he's willing to give it all up. I mean, this social injustice. This stuff is really important. The George Floyd killing. I mean, this stuff is really, really important to him that he's willing to give up almost. Well, I forgot how much he's worth. I think $150 million. But salaries and endorsements.
May I chime in a little bit?
Yes, you can.
Yes, go ahead, Kenneth.
March 11th, 2019, we have the Russell Westbrook incident where this black basketball player confronted a racist white fan. That fan was banned from games, and Mr. Westbrook was fined $25,000. And at the end of the day, they opened up this whole entire discussion on race relationships. The NBA must do everything in its power to make a difference in race relationship and social justice. Now, if race was a basketball player, the referee would blow the whistle, say that's a blatant foul, get that player out of the game. Now more than ever, the sports fans need to speak out against racism and social injustice. Why? Because the sports fans are the ones that buy the tickets. If they don't buy the tickets, then the owners will say what's going on, and they will begin the process of listening to the fans. But when the players begin the process of speaking out against social injustice and the fans disagree, that player may have to get another job. Why? Because the bottom line is that they're there to put butts in the seat. They're there to actually win ball games. Their job is to know their role and shut their mouth. When you begin the process of going on to do something that you're not allowed to be in, then all of a sudden you become a maverick. And I can guarantee you, when this whole thing settles, there'll be a lot of people looking for jobs, because you cannot, under any circumstance, go into your boss's house and say, look, I'm going to protest. These guys make millions and millions of dollars. They can buy a television show, a television station, they can buy a newspaper, they can buy a radio station to get their message out. Why would you go to your employer and do a protest because it will cause a lot of controversy? At the end of the day, if I'm an employer and you do this for me, you better be looking for another job. The name of the game is you have options. You do not need to go to your employer and say, look, I'm going to protest in your house. Wait a minute, who's paying who? Who's paying who? At the end of the day, you have signed a contract, and that contract says you are to shut your mouth and put the basketball in the hoop. At the end of the day, when you don't do that, I don't need you anymore. But to come blatantly into my house and I'm paying you, and you're going to tell me point blank, I do what I want. Why? Because you're making so much money? The white man giveth and the white man taketh away. So at the end of the day, they need to calm down. They really do, because they're going to start a storm that they can't control.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Rashid.
Yeah, no, my thing is, I somewhat disagree with you, Barrett. I don't mind them actually protesting, but just get it right. You go out there, do your research. If you're going to get into politics, you can't just repeat talking points that you hear on CNN and MSNBC. There's 200 million conservatives in this country, and they don't agree with that stuff that CNN and MSNBC is actually spewing. You know, you got to go out there, you got to do your research. I mean, politics is, I don't want to say it's highly complex, but it's consistently and constantly changing, you know, and you can't just be, you know, just throwing talking points out there just because the media is actually hyping something up.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is that we must, as a community, know the role of the police, and we don't. The role of the police is to serve and protect the system that rules over the people. The role of the police is to enforce the relationship between the oppressed and the oppressor. The system does not allow the police to do justice. The system wants the police to be heavy-handed in every area, which means they're going to kill, brutalize, and it's all illegal. This is the reason why the system of white...
Well, I wouldn't say it's legal. I think you're wrong about that. It's not illegal just because... I mean, a cop just can't roll up to you on camera and then blow your brains out and then say, okay, well, it's legal for me to do that. No, he's going to go to jail.
TV? Do you not watch TV?
I do.
The cops are legally going up to individuals. In New York City, they call it stop and frisk, okay? Which they basically
By
stop.
Bloomberg.
Unconstitutional. And now they're just brutalizing people because, like it or not, the police officers are going to make it home to their families. Trust me, they're going to. The police are not fit to be caretakers of justice. Until they dismantle the system of white supremacy, they're not fit to be caretakers of justice. They have to put justice first before their blue uniform.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
but you gotta remember too, Kenneth, we actually seen regular people get away with stuff that normally they would be, a regular ordinary person would be convicted of. A la O.J. Simpson there, the gloves didn't fit.
Listen, man, he did it.
You get a good boy who can manipulate the jury. They can actually, do wonders in a sense, though.
Yeah, you're talking about the jury. We're talking about the whole problem on the streets right now with the police officers.
Well, no. I mean, Kenneth is making it seem like that it's just only cops that just get away with stuff. If you have money.
I'm sorry.
You have money.
I'm sorry. Let me see. Sandra Bland died at the hands of the police. Tamir Rice, a young man, died at the hands of the police. Andre Castillo, who had a legal weapon in his car, told the officer it was there, explained to him.
I meant to look up that case. I keep forgetting to look that up. I got to write that down. I got to look up and see the exact video.
The role of the police in its current form is like an abusive relationship, and as a revolutionary, my job is to break that relationship up. Let me be clear. There's a criminal element in every neighborhood, and that criminal element must be confronted. So you call the police. Now, despite the personal danger, the buck stops with them. Bad cops whose actions are wrong should not tarnish good cops whose actions are wrong.
I definitely do agree with that. I definitely agree there. I definitely do agree with you. The thing is that we got to look at who's actually giving the orders. We got to look at the politicians. And nobody's going to these mayors. Nobody's going to De Blasio and the Chicago mayor. What's that, Miss Lightfoot? I mean, it really starts with them. They're really the ultimate boss of these cops.
Look, in the non-white community, we need the police. Trust me, we don't want to die. That's the situation. We need them. But
absolutely you do need the police. I mean, right now you're talking about the funding. Right now, what people are looking for is the funding the police with $1 million so they can diversify that into communities and make the communities better. And you're doing that by what? Trying to see if you can hire the people in the neighborhood, deputize them to be the neighborhood watch.
Well, our people need to be ethical and moral if we can. Okay?
Right.
We have personal integrity. The principles of Kwanzaa should not end in December.
yeah. Well, hey, listen, we got Juneteenth now.
What is exactly, because I wanted to actually, we're going to do this show in 2 parts here. The second part was supposed to be about the George Floyd killing and what's his name? Don't worry about that right now. What is social injustice though? What is that? Define that.
Well, social injustice is where you and I have the same qualifications, we go for the same job, and your skin color gets you in while my skin color is a sin. Okay? It is called the complexion for the protection. White people go for this all the time, and they are oblivious to it because the system of white supremacy works in your behalf. So now, when we yell and complain, wait a minute, that's a social injustice. And then every time a black person talks about social injustice, what's the first thing white people do? We have to have a discussion about it. We have to have a debate about it. We see it there, but is what we see what we see?
Yeah, okay. But you said this is a free market capitalist system. I mean, I heard you utter those words, numerous times. So there's black doctors, there's black lawyers there. I mean, Kyrie, if there was social, and this is what Kyrie Irving is actually fighting, social injustice, and he wants to stop the whole NBA because of this. Nobody denied Kyrie.
But he's not being realistic. He's not being realistic. Talking about stopping the NBA. That's not realistic, and that's not the right direction.
But no. This is what he's fighting though, because he's saying it's social injustice. That's his main. That's one of his.
Who is he fighting? Who is he fighting?
I don't know.
Who is he taking his problem to?
He's not being really specific. I mean, he just used the words social injustice, and that's what
everybody's using those words. But what are they planning on doing about that? There's one man that decides to kneel down, and he made his point. Now, years later, everyone is kissing his behind. We now see what you're talking about. Is Kyrie Irving trying to be the next Colin Kaepernick? Is Kyrie Irving trying to actually believe that he can somehow get us to believe or see things more differently in social injustice than we haven't seen already? What is his plight? What is his end game? Who is he fighting? We don't have any answers to those questions.
He said that. He just... from what I read, I didn't read too much into it because it makes me sick just like hearing that stuff. He just used the word social injustice.
Yeah, we are using that. I mean, come on.
No. I'm just telling you what Kyrie's saying, though. He's saying
when you use the term social injustice, that is another way of just saying racism, but he can't say it. You see, what he's trying to do is keep his white card and his black card at the same time.
I think that's too late for that.
he doesn't want to offend the white people, and he doesn't want to offend the black people. You see, the whole point is that black liberation must be tempered with common sense. Like I said before, these guys make millions of dollars. Buy a radio station, get your message out. Buy a television station, get your message out. Buy a newspaper to get your message out. You start small, then you build up, okay? You don't go for the king when you're not ready to win.
And I agree with that. He's ready to run out there in the middle of nowhere, and he's ready to start a fight. No got to win any weapons in his hands. I mean, in theory, and I just don't see how he's going to win this battle. So you're out there making this comment, and you have no end game, you have no plan, and yet you're asking other players to follow behind you, and they have no idea what they're talking about at this point in time. Okay, so I just think right now, at the end of the day, we see it, the same concept. He needs to just go back and do.
All right, so Barrick, I'm pretty sure you heard that Kendrick Perkins actually disagreed with him, and Kevin Durant called him a sellout.
I heard about that. But you understand, you got to understand something. Kendrick Perkins and Kevin Durant, they are very good friends. All right. They're very good friends. They spend time with each other's families many times. But to call someone a sellout because he disagrees with the concept, I think is wrong. All right? Yep. Now, I'm not taking position and saying Kevin Durant has no idea. Kevin Durant's a very bright young man. He's a very good businessman. He has a bright future beyond the game of basketball. Let's just make no mistake about that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's call another good friend who I still think is his friend. I can sit there and say, Rasheed, you know what? I don't agree with you, man. I think you're a sellout. And I'll explain my position, you explain yours. We'll still walk away friends. Agree to disagree. But the bottom line is when you make it public like this, you're making it a war against it. Hey, listen, now, we don't want to be friends, but you know what? You need to start talking when you're talking. Kendrick Perkins, you're wrong. You're a sellout. He's not a sellout. He's just basically saying, he's basically staying on the point right now where I think right now you should start playing basketball and stop worrying about the politics. But what say you, Kenneth?
Well, here's what I was trained. If I criticize you, I need to criticize you privately. Because if I criticize you publicly, people tend to think you're serious.
Right.
When you criticize somebody in a public forum, they think you mean it. And I'm sorry, it's not going to cut it. So these conversations that they're having should be done away from the media by themselves, because they're almost like trying the case in the media, and people are fickle. They're double-edged sword. They love you on Friday, but they'll crucify you on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Okay? So they need to take this conversation away from the media, take it behind closed doors, deal with it, and show a united front against the issue. But
Right, but can we agree to say, I keep hearing a number of times that racism has gotten worse in the last 5 years.
And
I'm looking at them.
I really honestly don't see it. There's something.
Oh, yeah, but this is the reason why I think it's redundant to even make the comment, especially from a man of color. Okay, again, I bear witness at the age of 9 years old watching my cousin get shot in the back on Linden Boulevard in Queens, and he basically cooperated with the police. I've seen it from the age of 9. It was made aware to me then, as it is now. The only difference between the racism now and then is nothing, except for the fact that now people have phones, they have cameras. Like you said, Kenneth, there's a platform, they're using it, you know? And now all of a sudden everyone's saying, yeah, racism has gotten worse. No, it hasn't. It's been worse all this time. Now it's more exposed because everybody's got a phone. Instead of helping the actual person who's getting beat up by a cop or someone's getting jumped by somebody, instead of recording it, help them out.
All right, but you know, there's a lot of Spanish people that don't like blacks. I mean, you know, back in the day, I told Kenneth this. I used to be on those chat lines back in the days. Remember the Bronx Raven? And there was a Spanish Raven. We tried to get some Spanish girls, and I asked them. You know, they asked me, "Well, what are you? Are you Spanish? Are you Moreno?" I said, "No, I'm black." I said, "Oh, no.
You pass a Dominican. You can pass a Dominican or a Puerto Rican person. They're different colors. They have different colors, especially Puerto Rican have different backgrounds."
This was like in 1997, 98. There was none of that stuff. They have, you know, you have to give a description. I say I'm a black guy. You know, and it's like no Moreno. So I mean, you have racism from all people are natural.
Yeah, but those people have no idea about their history, Rashid. For them to say that, they have no idea of their history, especially for the Puerto Rican, the average Boricua. They have 4 different nationalities in their system. That's why you see different colors. Some of them are fair skin, some of them dark skin. They have some of them do. They have Three Kings Day. Three Kings Day is January 6th every year. That's when they can look back at their history. All right, some of them might make that comment, oh, I'm racist against black. Really? Have you taken a good look at your history? You'll be very surprised what you find out.
Remember the movie Bad Boys 2? And he was the drug dealer, Tapia. He was introducing what's this
film? Yeah, the mother said, "Yo, is that a Negro?"
It happens, man. It's not just a white thing. I think you know it's a tribalist thing.
That's art imitating life there. So you're using Bad Boys 2 as an example. That's art imitating life.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, because Kenneth makes it seem like it's a black and white thing. And it's just not and you making it seem like, oh, this is racism. But racism is all over. You just want to have it. You're going to have Chinese people that don't like blacks. I mean, they do. And you hear Chinese people, they don't like black people. Chinese hates black people.
Let me be very, very clear. There are 2 races. You have white and you have non-white. And the reason why I put it like that is that the blacks are broken down into different ethnicities, but they're still non-white. White people are broken down into different ethnicities, but they're still white. So basically, if you call somebody a Puerto Rican, that's just a black person that can swim, okay? Basically, it's just broken down into different ethnicities. So racism, from my point of view, is now in what's called a refined stage. In essence, the Klan has taken off the hoods and they put it on the police uniform. They put on the judge's robes.
Oh, come on. Really?
Come on.
There's black cops out there too. There's Spanish cops. There's Chinese cops.
Hold on, guys. Hold on. Let me interject for 1 second. Can we agree? Who came up with this whole thing about the black race and the white race? Who came up with this concept?
White people.
Right. But can we all agree that we're all one race?
Yes, non-white.
Okay. So why are we having this problem? That's a big question.
Listen, this has been happening for like, over 150 something years, man.
A lot more than that, Rashid. Go a little further back than that.
No. I'm just saying, like, we know about the slavery thing. Slavery was a worldwide thing. Everybody was enslaved. There was white, there was German slaves, there was slaves all over. It's still being practiced today.
There's a difference between slavery and indentured servitude. There's a difference. We went a part of what's called chattel slavery. That's not indentured servitude. Okay, there's two different things there. Okay, there's 2 different things there. Slavery, chattel slavery, is much different than indentured servitude. Black people were slaves. We weren't indentured servants. Got it?
No, you had German. You had German slaves too. They were freed in 1892. You guys study your history, Kenneth.
I'm talking about in America.
No, I'm just saying that every race was enslaved, every religion was enslaved.
Okay, then what? Oh, if you're going to say that, then what about the Native Americans?
Thank you.
What about the Native Americans?
They were.
No. What about the Native Americans? You don't hear a thing about them.
Thank you.
Okay, they've lost all of humanity. They lost it all. Not only were they enslaved, they lost their land, they lost everything. They have their whole genocide race right there. What happened to them? No one even talks about it.
Yeah, but you got to remember, before the French and the English came over, they were killing each other too. You know, some of the Indians used the French to take out other tribes and things like that, man. So it's just tribalism, man. And humans.
Yeah, but the bottom line is they were kind of wiped out, and no one's talking about them. Why is that?
No, we talk about them. I mean, I don't think.
No, we don't. No, we don't talk about them.
Mainstream media doesn't talk about them, but I talk about them. I mean,
yeah, but that's you as a whole. But yeah, we're talking about them. I just finished saying 10 minutes ago. Everybody say, well, racism hasn't been as bad now as it was then. We got all these phones. We got all these different news channels now, more than we ever had before. Now all of a sudden, racism is bad when it's been bad all this time. So we agree to that. How come we're not talking about the Native American?
Because if you talk about the Native American, that is an indictment on the whole entire white American race in America. That's why they always, if you notice, they've given the Indians almost everything that they wanted just to keep them quiet. Okay, just to keep them quiet. Okay, but if you deal with the whole point of the Native American Indian and how they were treated, that treatment is an indictment on the white American politician and their culture.
But
okay?
Kenneth, you got to remember too, there was other Indian tribes that used the French and English against other Indian tribes who they were going to war with. You got to remember that too. It's not like the English and French just came over there and just started annihilating Indians and things like that. You know, that's not true. I mean, you had it was like they were at war. As soon as they got there, they were at war with each other. Same thing over land and things like that. Same exact thing.
Experience that the Native American Indian had in their country called America. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you've ever seen the Geronimo story, there is a question, and he says this question: why must the white man have everything?
Mm-hmm.
Why must they have everything? And the response was, because we can. In essence, they came to the fight with a knife and the other people had cannons and weapons, okay? We need to have what's called mutual assured destruction. You have a gun, I have a gun, now we can talk. But as long as I have a knife and you have more weapons, we can't talk because you're going to dominate.
Mm-hmm. Hence the concept, you bring a knife to a gunfight. There you go.
There it is.
You gotta watch that movie, The Revenant. You know, with Leonardo DiCaprio, and you'll understand what I'm talking.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
It's a little bit with the French-Indian Wars. I mean, Kenneth got to go and watch that movie, and he'll understand.
No. I don't need to go and watch someone's conception of racism. Why would I do that for? I don't need someone to tell his story when I live the reality of what my people have been through.
Well, no. I mean that whole story was nonsense. It was totally. I mean, they put their own spin on it.
Yeah, but you're using it as a reference.
Yeah.
You're using it as a reference. I mean, you got to understand something. I just say art imitates life, but it imitates life to a small degree. You know, every writer goes in there and says, "Well, here's my story. Here's my story." They have a full story, and you know what Hollywood tells them? Well, we're going to take this story, and we're going to rewrite this. We got our own guys, all right? And every movie you see come out says based on a true story. Okay, they're only going to give you maybe 40 minutes of reality. The rest of it is Hollywood.
My thing is that what personal racism has Kyrie Irving actually exhibited though? I mean, this is what he's fighting for: social injustice, hence the word racism. So what is he like? You know what? How has it affected him personally in a sense?
We don't know that has it affected him personally because he has to go out there and speak. You said it yourself.